This is the Danger Close podcast, Beyond the Books with me, Jack Carr.
Welcome to the Danger Close podcast, an Ironclad original presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. This is a tribute episode of Danger Close. It originally aired last year, and this is a conversation with my dear friend, James Yeager of Tactical Response. James passed away on September 1st, 2022 of ALS. And if you didn't know him personally, you might not know what a huge heart he had. There's nothing that he would not do for his friends or his family. And if you did follow him, then you're familiar with how he'd sign off. And he'd say, "This is James Yeager for Tactical Response, reminding you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends." James Yeager.
I am here today with my dear friend, James Yeager, and I haven't decided whether to kick this off by talking about just by thanking you or waiting till the end. And I think I'll probably do a little bit of both here because, and we'll get into it here in a little bit, but you were the first person to really get the word out about my first novel, The Terminal List, and you have such a dedicated group, an engaged group of people that that follow you and that train with you. So for you to say that really kicked off the first novel in a way that that most people's don't get kicked off, and I sincerely appreciate it.
It's no problem, and it's funny because I mean the book was good. If it would have sucked, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. And everybody listening can kind of identify with when you have friends. If you can do your friend a favor, you do the favor. There's no real thought of it. You just do it just like you do. And so knowing, what you expressed to me was, hey, I'm getting out and I would like to really have a job where I could stay at home and help take care of my family. And writing, you said, and writing is something I can do, which has turned out to be a complete lie. You're on the road all the time. But
before COVID's really helped out with being able to stay home.
But I thought, okay, he's got a plan. He wants to do this. I can, if it's a good book, especially, I can help him sell a few copies, and maybe we make that plan work out. I wouldn't even say a dream, but make that plan happen for him. And so while I do appreciate the recognition, I mean that you would have done it for me.
Well, for sure I would have done it for you, but you did it for me. You just happened to do it for me.
Okay.
And I remember you telling me, you explained to me all about internet and engagements and reviews, and I had no idea about any of this stuff and social media.
So what these people need to understand is that he was a SEAL, knows all the SEAL stuff, all the SEAL gadgets and all that James Bond stuff, all that he's got. Cell phone escapes him. Smartphone,
better.
He was like, "Where's the flippy one with the numbers on it?" I can, and so when he got into all this, it was, and it's still even today watching him set this my first podcast.
I think this is the easiest one too to set up.
No, but it's fun, and usually when guys retire, they're going to go fish, and they're not going to learn a new. This is tradecraft.
That's it.
And so I can only imagine on top of the writing. Because after you make that first successful book, like everybody, when they found out I was coming here, said, "Ask him when book 4 is coming out."
All right.
And so now you have this thing, probably for somebody that takes it as seriously as you, that is just as demanding as being a SEAL.
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, it's I just go all in, no matter what I do. I just go all in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Much to my wife's chagrin out there, who's outside these doors right now.
The unsung hero.
Exactly. I just don't know how to not go all in on something. And both these things were dreams, both writing and being a SEAL. Mm-hmm. And so I went all in on all of them. But one thing you told me when I first started down this path that really helped, and I passed it along to a ton of different people, was the advice you gave me on reviews. Mm-hmm. And people say, don't look at your reviews. Other authors say that, but it's impossible not to look at those things. But you were like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's a good review or a bad review. It's that engagement on there. It's people talking about it. And I took that to heart. And so every time I see a bad review on Amazon, and usually they're talking about how, it's too right wing or it's too violent or, there's too many product placement stuff in there or whatever. But to the person that wants to know what kind of boot I wore or what kind of weapon I carry. And
all of our people want to know.
That. Exactly. So the person that's saying what they don't like to somebody else reading that, it's like, wow, I'm going to like this book because same reasons this person gave it a 1 star.
If there's no friction, there's no fire.
That's good stuff.
No, I promise. Like people on my YouTube videos, that thumbs up and thumbs down, they don't understand that if they're all thumbs up, it doesn't go high into the search analytics.
Oh, interesting.
The machine doesn't call it like viral unless it's turbulence.
Interesting. See, I like that. And I pass it on to people. Like, don't get too down on your reviews. And I pass that on. And it really helps a lot of people.
Well, it's the old Better Business Bureau thing. If somebody likes your product or service, they tell 1 or 2 people. If they hate it, they tell 8.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. I have built my career and my company off hate.
I definitely want to get to that, but let's back up. Because I'm so interested in it, and this gives me an opportunity actually to ask you a lot of questions that I've never asked you before. So, did you grow up in Tennessee? Where did you grow up?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tennessee's home. I'll just start talking. You tell me where to shut up.
Yeah,
I grew up poor, and I mean, like I stood in the government cheese line as a kid, and single mom, and she worked real hard, but she was a single mom. And I didn't do well in school. Turns out that I have real attention deficit disorder and I have a 143 IQ. And those 2 things together don't do well in public school.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
And so I did fine until I was 12 or 13. Testosterone kicks in. You think you're a man, and then by the time I was 16, I got sent off to a boys' school. Got in trouble truancy and just being a general butthole. Actually, I flourished there. It was like it wasn't like a prison. It was like more like a college campus. There was no fence or anything. And that's where I kind of positive male role models. And that's kind of what turned my life around.
No kidding. And then, and is it while you were there that you decided to get into law enforcement or tactical shooting, or how did that progress?
So when I was 16, and I was still in my butthole phase, I've always been a motorcycle guy. Still ride bikes now, and I left turner almost killed me. I went over the car.
Oh.
Yeah, and 16, got up, dusted myself off. I'm fine, But there was a cop that worked the accident, took me home, and I didn't realize it till I was a cop. But he sat in my driveway talking to me for about 2 hours and shagging calls, and that's a police term for like putting calls on somebody else when someone would come out. And I didn't realize what he's doing, but he was stalling so he could talk to me longer. And that was one of those pivotal moments in my life. There've been a few and that I can point to, and that was a pivotal moment in my life when I thought, all right, this might suit me. And so that eventually that was the path I went down.
No kidding. How long did it take you? Did you graduate from that school and then go right into law enforcement?
Well, you can't be a cop when you're 18. So I kind of worked construction and stuff like that. Then January 20th of 1992, I was 21, and that's when I went into police work.
Okay. Got it. In Tennessee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As was it a police department or sheriff's department?
So I worked 4 years undercover, buying and selling drugs, and made over 3,000 felony dope cases in that time. And I did that for 4 full years. And it's kind of funny. This is when people say, "How did you meet your wife?" I said, "Oh, I met her while I was working undercover." I did.
Nice.
I did, but I wasn't on the job.
Okay.
It was just during that time. But I just say, I met her when I was working undercover, and I just continue,
like that.
And my wife's like, But anyway, then I came out of undercover work in 1996 and did patrol and SWAT and all
really?
those. And
did they grab you right into undercover work because you looked young?
I was young. I had a killer mullet.
Nice.
But I grew up, quote unquote, on the wrong side of the tracks. And, but somewhere along the way, I became a fairly moral, fairly ethical person. And I'd never really gotten in any real trouble, just truancy and things like that. Never gotten in any real trouble in my life. And they were like, and I expressed an interest with in front of a guy I didn't know was a cop. And he said, "Come talk to me." And so I started working for the drug task force. Tennessee has different clusters of counties that form drug task force.
And so when you're undercover doing these buys, are you armed, or do you have people around you that are armed watching you?
No. You're pretty much by yourself. I mean, I'm wearing a wire, but this is back then. It just recorded to my person. Like it wasn't
like to a mini cassette or something?
like almost like a Mr. Microphone taped to my chest almost. I mean, look back now to the early 90s, the technology. But so nobody could hear me or see me.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're out there on your own. Yeah. You're hanging it out.
And actually, there's a picture of it. I probably have it on my phone. But my wife with me, and what I would do is I'd get jobs as bouncer in bars. And that gave me an excuse to be at bars and clubs all the time, but not drinking, but be there all the time. And so that's how I kind of worked my way into the different things. Or if I had trouble, if I was in a new town, I would get arrested and stay in jail for 3 or 4 days. And then they would put me in the right cells with the right people. And, the instant credibility,
Oh, that's wild. And then when you were doing those buys, what did you carry at the time? So
I had again, the picture, my wife's arm around me, and you can see the clip of a holster in the front of the people started carrying appendix. And I'd been doing that since the 90s, and I didn't know it had a name. I thought it was just sticking a gun in front of my pants. But I had figured out that when people, hug you and stuff, that was the place that they would least likely had a gun. I wore a pistol on my hip just like I do now. But when I worked undercover, I carried a Charter Arms 38 with, I couldn't carry a cop bullet, but Corbon made the old FBI round, the 158 grain plus P plus lead hollow point. And that's what I carried in the gun, so it didn't look like cop bullets.
Okay. What's Charter Arms? Are they still around?
I think so. They were, I was a poor cop, so it certainly wasn't a
So you had to buy that one. That was not issue.
Yeah, right.
No kidding. Okay. What was your issue back then?
So first issue was 23, Glock 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Man. And then, so you did that and then moved on in patrol. So you're in uniform.
K9 handler and then SWAT stuff and all that.
Okay. And then when did you transition out of that?
So I did it full time from 92 to 2002. And from 96 to 2002, I got fired from 2 different departments. I've never been written up ever. I've never been suspended, and I've never been sued, but I'm not politically correct. And so I was just like, the first time you get fired, it's like, man, screw them. And then, if you get fired multiple times, it's like, maybe it's me.
Wow.
So I had started tactical response. So
you started it while you were still at the police department?
So so Tarantino, this story, we go back in time. So I bought my first pistol when I was 18, and I started shooting IPSC or USPSA. Okay. And then I became a cop in 92, and I got to take, and I didn't have any training. And I would read gun magazines like Gunsight, and, but that was an unattainable thing for me at my poverty level. But I took all kinds of police classes in those 4 years I was undercover, like FBI, SWAT school, and all kinds of shooting schools and all kinds of stuff by a bunch of really good instructors.
Did they bring outside instructors in for those, or do they have in-house FBI guys?
Like when a police class is going on, they'll put it out like on the quote unquote teletype. Like, hey, this department's hosting this class. Okay. And so when you work undercover, you always work on the weekend, like Friday and Saturday period, 100% you're working. Yeah. But nobody buys dope on Monday apparently. So Monday through Thursday, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted to. And then so in 96, Tennessee got carry permits, and I started doing carry permits to supplement my police income. And so it's kind of like there was an old counter drug commercial back in the day. This guy sitting at a desk, and he was like, well, I do cocaine so I can work longer hours so I can make more money, so I can buy more cocaine, So it was kind of like that. Like my wife got my meager police check to pay our bills and buy the groceries. But if I wanted to go take a class or ammo or gun, I had to have a side job. And so that was my side hack back in the day. And that I got on the internet in 1998. And I did my first class for $25, and 100 people showed up. I didn't have any way to register people or anything. I just had to show up, and
that was tactical response, like a first class.
Yeah,
no kidding. And that's in Tennessee.
Yeah,
near where you are now.
Yeah,
same range, or
not the same range, but the same county.
No kidding. And then what did you think then? You said, okay, there's a market for this.
Well, I did it a few years, and my wife in 99 or 2000. My wife's doing her taxes and stuff. She says, you make more money part-time than you do full-time, which did take much, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a cop though. It was, it's one of those ego investment jobs, just like being a SEAL. Yeah. Like when you separate from that, there's a there's like a chunk missing somewhere. And, but you know, I was a cop and then I wasn't.
Yeah. And when you were training up until your first class and before starting tactical response, was it all those FBI classes and police classes, or did you do anything with anybody else?
It's just the one FBI class, but my first civilian class was in '96, and it was Andy Stanford.
Oh yeah,
and
in the book.
Yeah, he's crazy.
You sent me the book on a deployment.
Yeah,
which is up there on the shelf.
Yeah,
right there.
Gosh, what year was that?
That you sent me that book? You sent that to me.
Are these in alphabetical order?
Nope.
Because this is weird.
Right there.
That's me on the cover. I didn't sign it like anything sharp.
I don't know.
Like you crazy seals should learn how to shoot.
Probably. Yeah. So that's you on the cover. And that's, you sent me that when I was in the Philippines. And I had a little time on my hands to shoot out there. And you sent me a bunch of stuff. That was awesome. I sincerely appreciate it. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. It was super cool.
But he was the first guy for civilian class I took. And I credit him with letting me off my leash.
Okay.
Because in police schools, things are structured to unload your gun. Can't walk around here with a loaded gun. He was like, "Oh, load your gun. Just don't point it at me, and
nice.
Keep it in the holster, and we're fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You can treat people like adults here." And because even when I shot USPSA, even though you had to unload your gun every time, they was still treated you like an adult with a gun.
Yeah.
But in police ranges, they treat you like a child with a gun.
Oh yeah, Marine ranges. Sorry, Marines watching.
They know. They know.
They already know.
And anyway, so I was like, "Oh, well, this is great." So it was real. That was another kind of fork in the road for me, where I can point to something that changed the direction of my life.
Oh, from that class,
yeah.
That okay, I can do this. I have a talent for this.
Well, basically what he told me was those 4 safety rules empower you, not impede you.
Nice. I like it. Well, they work tactically as well, if you think about them in a tactical sense.
No, if you shoot yourself in a gunfight, it still counts.
Good point. Good point.
It's like getting a score for the other team, though.
Yeah. Good point. And then, so in 2002, you go full-time tactical response?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And you're running courses in Tennessee only, or are you on the road?
Well, I mean, I've always been on the road.
Okay.
When I was policing, how I kind of got the start was the way our shift worked. Every month, I had a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, and I had 7 days in a row off.
Okay.
It was a crazy schedule. And there was a way where I could use 3 of my comp days somewhere in the middle, and I could get 14 days off in a row. So I started saving up all my comp time and using it strategically. Home classes, I taught on the long weekend. Away classes, I taught on the 7 days off.
Okay.
And that's how I...
No kidding. And then that starts taking off?
Yeah.
Pretty much right away?
Yeah. I mean, knock on wood, every year I've had more students than the year before, every single year.
That's awesome. Amazing. And then when, so at some point in this timeline here, you decided to go and start doing some contracting.
Mm-hmm.
So when was that?
So, in the training world, it's a relatively small group of people, in there, and your name gets around and you train a bunch of folks. And over the years, I've trained SEALs and SF guys and all kinds of guys. And then, when they start needing bodies, they're like, "Hey, I wonder who we can call. Hey, I wonder if Yeager knows people, or Yeager wants to come." And that's kind of how that thing happened. And some people I'd trained were like, "Hey, why don't you come over here and hang out?" And that's kind of how that unfolded, getting the invite, so to speak. Okay.
And how many deployments did you do, or how long did you contract?
So from April 2004 till June 2005.
Okay. So was it with the same company?
Shirt swaps.
I don't know.
So in contracting, so you got a contract and you're wearing a blue shirt, and then the red shirt people buy the contract and they come in and they hand you red shirts and you put a red shirt on.
Okay. Doing the same thing, just kind of for somebody else.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And that's when contracting was like big. People were leaving the SEAL teams. Yeah. A lot of people don't. Well, if you're in the SEAL teams or in the military, but if you weren't, it doesn't really make any sense. You left the SEAL teams in 2003, 4, 5, 6 because you were upset that you were going to go to Colombia, the Philippines, even Europe, wherever, and you were going to miss the fight. So a lot of guys got out, those E4, 5, 6s that were like, "Oh, I got to get to this fight. I'm going to miss this war," and they got out to contract.
That's
and then
crazy.
and the money was pretty good, so that was enticing back then as well for people. And then they went over, and some of them, got into it, and then some of them didn't, and tried to get back in the SEAL teams or back into SF or wherever they came from. But yeah, that was a big pull for people.
I told folks, don't trade a career for a job.
Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah, it looks enticing, but if you add up, I told guys in the military, if you add up all your stuff, okay, you got your paycheck, but your college and all the other opportunities, I said it's not that much different, and you got no support, none.
Good point. No, exactly. And a lot of guys figured that out after a few deployments and tried to come back, or they tried to do something else so they could be around their family a little more. And I think a lot of guys figured that out. And of course, today it's not what it was during that heyday.
For now, it's not.
Yeah, it could always come. On the horizon.
Well, the thing is it worked so well in Iraq and Afghanistan, it will always be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they're talking about it all the time, and private companies, no matter what industry, always do things a little more effectively and efficiently than the federal government.
Yeah, like a lot of people are up in arms about private prisons. They do it cheaper than the government can and better.
Yep. No, exactly. I've read a lot about that, and it's pretty much everything that you can point to that the government does, private sector can do more effectively and efficiently, because there's incentive to do so. Obviously,
I'm gonna have some delicious Black Rifle coffee.
You do it. You do it. That's good stuff right there. That's powering me through both these things: the Kill Cliff CBD and that Black Rifle coffee mocha espresso is powering me through the fourth book.
Well, people are going to ask what I'm drinking, so just like your book, and. I think I sent you the video where the Winkler tomahawks that where I hit that pig with one.
You told me about it, but I didn't see the video.
I have a video of people laugh at me because it's wounded and I'm trying to get in close to finish it with that thing, and it's got some long tusks on it, and it keeps jumping at me, and I kind of jump around and say I was skipping. They say you're skipping like a little girl.
Yeah, no, you texted it to me, but you texted me that, but then I never got the video. I want to check it out for sure. So in the contracting side of the house, how long were you over there? How many? Before the Round Irish event happened?
So that happened in, that was April 20th. So a year.
April 20th, 2004? 2005. Okay. And how you'd been over there for how long again?
Well, that would have been right at a year.
That would have been at a year. And you were over there for a full year.
Oh, you mean without coming home?
Yep.
No, we'd come home like 90-30.
Okay. So you're over there for 3 months, come home for a month, back over there again. And was most of the time doing that Round Irish?
A lot of it. So basically, we protected the 8 Iraqi election commissioners just before the election. And so for anybody listening, if you split Iraq into 8 states, these were the most politically powerful people from each state. So if Iraq had governors, these were the governors.
Got it.
And so a bunch of nonsense. But anyway, so we had to help them facilitate the election. So we would, Russian or UN MI8 to Erbil, and then Black Hawk to Basra, and or C-130 to Basra, or whatever, and taking them to each one of them and there were men and women and Shia and Sunni.
Oh, geez.
What a mess! And so
did you have advanced teams for that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we were lucky because we were pretty high tiered as far as military assets. So we got, instead of having to drive a lot of places, we got to ride in planes, and military is nice enough for us riding a Black Hawk and everything like that occasionally, And but that's what we did. We would carry so $1 million in US $100 bills weighs 28 pounds.
Wow. I'm gonna write that down for a book.
We carried a bunch.
Dang. What is that? What does that look like physically?
Yeah, it's about big as that Pelican case.
Okay. Yeah, like a large suitcase type thing.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sat phones. We would carry duffel bags of money and sat phones to the meeting, and then our client would go into a room with the people, and I'm sure what he was doing was taking his split, because as soon as the elections were over, all of them flew to Switzerland.
Oh, jeez. Crazy.
the U.S. gave the Iraqis $47 million to do the election, and then they all stole that and said that was the Iraqi people's money, and then the Britain and the UN paid it the second time.
Oh, I mean, the amount of money not just what we've lost in people and treasure and everything else, but those types of just things you can actually point to.
Yeah.
Like this cash went to this person and then disappeared and didn't do what we intended it to do. I wonder how much that adds up to. That's just
gosh,
crazy.
Fortunes for sure.
Yeah, because you weren't the only people doing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wild. So you're doing those runs. You're flying to these different provinces, doing those meetings, coming back, and then doing the Red Irish run. What vehicles did you guys use?
We had a mix of hard cars and soft cars, unless somebody locks the keys in a Toyota Super Cruiser that's armored. Then it's probably still sitting where it was.
Oh, jeez.
How do you get the keys out of an armored car?
That's pretty good. I got to put that in a book too. That's great. This is working out for me.
When we get off here, I'll send you some notes, man.
I love that. Those are great for conversations as far as character development, for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. So
I got a book in my head, so I'll let you use some of them.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Just give me what you can get out there that I can get out there and use, and that'd be amazing. That's wild. But you had soft skin vehicles.
Here's what we'll do. We'll figure out one like the keys locked in, and you use it first. Then I'll use it, and then everybody say I stole that from you.
I'll put it in the acknowledgments for sure. Make it clear.
No. I would do that on purpose.
There you go. Get the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
I love it. Gosh, you're smart at this.
You gotta lay traps.
Got this down.
Gotta lay traps.
Love it. So the soft skin vehicle. So you did soft skin vehicles sometimes to blend in more, or was it just?
I think the company was a cheapskate.
Really?
But like the ambush, the problem I have with the ambush is this: 3 dudes died that day, and everybody just knows my name.
Yeah,
because they won't throw rocks at me. But if they really cared about what happened, they would know those dudes' names.
Yeah,
and one of them was an American named Jay Hunt, was a great friend of mine, former Army Ranger and Native American, Lumbee Indian, and what a great human being. And would you like to hear something about Jay? Or
yeah.
So when I first got there, Jay came out to the car, and he had a small bundle of sage, and it was burning like incense, and he was saying a chant. And I was like, typical dude. Like, hey man, what are you doing? What's this all about? And he said, something I do, I pray for my people, and it keeps us safe. And he said, I've never lost anybody, and it's all good. So for a year, he did that. Never a problem. The morning of the ambush, our team was essentially 2 teams. There were 25 of us, 12 Americans, 13 Brits, and we just tried to operate independently. We didn't get along well. But the other team had 2 people. Anyway, they weren't there. They needed 2 fill-ins. Jay and I went. And when Jay came out, he had a bundle about as big as this can of sage.
Yeah.
And so a year he's done this. I've never said a word to him, except for the first time. And then that day I said, whoa, he's getting ashes all over the place. I'm like, Jay, what's up? And he said, we need extra today.
Wow.
So we go do the thing. He gets killed. Literally takes his last breath in my arms. But you can kind of get this is I'm not even really sad about that, because that was an honor to be there with him. And that was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life, was to be there for. He wanted to die a warrior's death, and he died with a red hot machine gun in his hand.
Wow.
So we go back to the house, and my brother, who was on our team too, and the whole time we were in this gunfight, I'm thinking, man, I'm glad my brother's not here. You know what I'm saying? Like the shit gets in your head. But we go back, and my brother comes to me and says, hey man, you need to go up to Jay's room. And Jay's left me a note. He said, dear James, he had a tomahawk that his grandfather made. He said, please give the tomahawk to my son, give this flute to my daughter, And so I sit here, and I'll tell you right now, that dude knew he was going to die, and he went anyway.
Wow.
And it bothers me that nobody knows his name.
Wow. Amazing. Jeez. What a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, like I hate that he's dead and all that stuff, but he wanted to die a warrior's death, and he did, man. He died with a fucking red hot fucking RPK in his hand.
Okay. Jeez. So you guys were running RPKs?
He was, yeah. I had M4 that day.
Got
it. We had everything. You know how it was over there.
Armed to the teeth.
Gold AKs and AT4s and all kinds of weird,
weird
stuff.
And that day, was it a typical? So it was not typical in that you were augmenting the Brit side of the house.
Yeah, that was the only real odd side of it. We had an airport run to pick up a client that was flying in, and then.
And for those that don't know, Route Irish was really from the green zone, which was what the Coalition Provisional Authority, whatever they called it, was down there. A bunch of other things, kind of in an in a enclosed area, and it was you had to make a run from Baghdad International Airport to get to and from
between two forts,
essentially, Fort Apache,
with Apaches in the middle. Yeah,
that's it. How long was that run? I forget.
It took forever.
Makes it good. I forget how
4 miles.
Something like that.
It
6, 7, somewhere in there. Anyway.
It wasn't.
Someone will check us.
I went on 100 times, but I never worried about the odometer.
Yeah, no, I never did either. That's why I can't remember right now. So it wasn't too far. So it wasn't like a It wasn't like a 50-mile journey for anybody that's listening. It was a run, but it wasn't like right next door. It was right that like intermediate type area where you had to be serious about getting from point A to point B. And
it was urban and open, a mix of close buildings and open fields and,
freeways, underpasses, like everything that you can imagine between two
just
points.
Any normal city, except people are trying to kill you.
Yeah. And on that day, did you have armored vehicles or were they the thin skin or what?
We had one armored, 2 thin.
Okay. And then how did you guys run those? Like, was it, did armor lead the way?
No. Armor was in the middle. That was going to be the client was going to ride in the armor.
Okay.
And he was going to be in the middle car.
And then you guys are just armed to the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so 3 vehicles?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
3 vehicles. And then when the ambush happened that day, was it in traffic or was it?
So a bomb had gone off, and you know how Big Army would close the road, big guns pointed, stay back, and all that stuff. So we were in traffic, and our team leader, English guy, got out, said he was in the SAS. Turns out he wasn't. You probably never ran across that before. Somebody with English accent saying they were in the SAS.
I've never met somebody that wasn't in the SAS that had English accent.
That's why on those HK posters from Princess Gate.
Oh, I have one in the garage.
Well, that's why they're on the balcony, because that building is completely full of fucking SAS guys. Sorry.
There's no more room inside.
No more room.
I get it.
Anyway.
They even used it in Ronin.
But
in the movie.
Yeah. But he'd get out of his car in his Iraqi garb and shoot his MP5. Yeah, MP5 up in the air. He was living out his SAS fantasies and shoot that up in the air trying to get cars around. And we just kept moving through traffic until we were out front. There was a frontage road. The world's longest road is the frontage road. I don't know if you've ever seen frontage road, but it's in every city you go to.
Yes.
Anyway,
I always end up on that one somehow.
There was a frontage road with a guy on the phone looking at us, and I'm like, that dude is what the Brits called a dicker, a lookout, a snitch. That dude over there is probably plotting on us. Sure enough, he was.
So you see him. You're still kind of in traffic, but you're moving slowly.
We have moved up and stopped. Basically, for anybody watching, the first rule of a motorcade convoy is it doesn't stop moving. Like, right? Did they tell you guys that? Don't stop moving?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And
I'm just trying to picture how you could keep moving in that kind of traffic, because I'm picturing that part of the road in my head.
The thing is, we could have done a U-turn and went back to the green zone and waited for the blockage to be clear.
Got it.
But they wanted to go to the PX. And they wouldn't have time. They were going early to pick up the client. They wouldn't have time if they left. So anyway, we're on the X 29 minutes. And
are you in the lead vehicle?
Yeah, I'm up front and I'm driving, and we're in a thin-skinned manual shift. And so when it was over, I wrote a report. I'm a cop, right? Incident report. That's what's in my brain. 29 pages. And so what I had done is put the car in neutral. We practiced in all the armored cars, did all of our stuff, and this is on me 100%. When it started going off, I punched the gas. The car didn't go, and I said, bail out, and we went into motion there. And so I feel bad that I screwed that up for sure. I screwed that up. So we get out. I go to the back. I start shooting. Another guy that says he's in the SAS comes out with a 249 and says, move. So I begin doing a bound, and he starts shooting. And I don't know this till later, but the nutsack falls off the gun, and he just throws it in the back seat and gets the M4 out instead of fixing the belt fed. And so I'm over there. I make one bound. I'm looking around.
To the center? Are you going to the center? Because that was SOP.
Median. Yeah.
So that was the SOP. Something happens like that.
Well, away from the gunfire. And so I'm there. Trying to talk to the guys, deploy a smoke. I go back. I see that Jay Hunt's hurt. So I go back to car 3. The armored car, the guys in there, they just stayed inside the armored car till the shooting was over. So I go back to car 3 where Jay was hurt. And by the time I get there, the driver of that car gets his brains blown out from a PKM. And so when I get back there, it's a mess. So
Jay was in that rear car.
He was outside the car shooting, and then crawled into the back seat because he thought we were leaving. And then the driver took a round through his ear.
Oh.
Yeah. And
anybody else in that vehicle?
Yeah, the team leader was in there, and he got shot in his MP5 bag. MP5. Living out their SAS fantasies over there.
Interesting. How far was the contact,
Yeah, 75 yards.
Dang. And how many do you think there were? Were they in vehicles, or did they move in, or how did that work?
It was a white Suburban. They drove down the frontage road, did a U-turn, and started coming back. And I didn't see it. I was looking, I'm on the left side of the car, so I'm looking this way, and so it starts coming in, and I don't even know exactly. We're in the urban setting, so it's bouncing, echoing and stuff, and I can hear the rounds, so I can kind of, my brain goes, oh, it's coming from this direction, and so that's, So
is that how you first became aware that there was a contact? Was the sound?
Yeah. The first thing I heard was the PKM. Yeah, and they're distinctive, and I knew we didn't have a PKM with us that day.
Jeez.
The team leader had kept getting out shooting his MP5, so right. You're kind of programmed to hear gunfire sporadically in Iraq anyway, but I was like, oh no, that one's different. Then it started hitting the car, that distinctive, ching 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 ching, hitting the car, and I didn't know the 2IC in my car passenger seat. He started shooting. He had like a little 7-inch AR, and he started shooting, and then I'm hitting the gas, and then that's when I roll out. And I don't even know where it's coming from or what's going on.
It's so confusing. People don't realize when you watch a movie just how confusing it is when bullets start flying, especially when there's echoes. Yeah,
it's easy for folks to point at any, because when you watch any kind of combat footage, dudes fall down and they hit their head and they drop this.
Even the best in the world.
Yeah, and so the thing is like I wrote down everything that people make fun of me for. I wrote in my own report, and they wouldn't even have known the things they're making fun of me for if I wouldn't have fessed up, because I thought what we were supposed to do, I'd been on a SWAT team, we'd do something and everybody says, how could we do this better?
Exactly.
That's what I thought. So there was only 2 reports, my report and the company report. And if you read the company report, it doesn't fault me for anything. But I didn't realize I was the only American left alive. I didn't realize that I would soon be the target of character assassination.
Jeez, actually, I want to get to that actually, but so how did that end? Were they shooting from the vehicle, from that white Suburban?
Yeah.
So they shot
drive by.
Where was it set up? Do you know? Was it like was it from the back? Or was it
they were shooting the PKM out the passenger side rear door, not the rear end, the second door.
Got it. Okay.
Back seat door.
So they dumped it and did what they could, and then they just got out of there.
And people might think that sounds ghoulish. I'm talking to a combat veteran, so you understand. They're pretty good shooters, man. They hit every fucking car. They killed 3 people on the move driving across there.
Jeez.
Like they rake those cars like fucking pros. Sorry, I'm cussing, man. I don't know. They can bleep that out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dude.
So at this point, you run to that rear vehicle. Is that about the time they start taking off? They finish dumping and get out of there? How long was the contact?
Seconds. Now, so if anybody that's listening to the video, they can hear me shoot. So then a car is coming through, And I think, here we go. And so I shoot those guys, and then we were doing first aid on Jay and stuff. Then Big Army shows up, and at first I thought, man, I hope I just didn't kill some people that were late for the airport or something.
Right.
Went back there. No, they had AKs and
Yeah. Got it. So at this point, Big Army showing up,
Yeah.
doing medical
Yeah.
side of the house.
yeah. Our team leader, who was also our medic, didn't have any quick clot or tourniquets on him.
No tourniquets.
And so
Interesting.
Jay got hit twice, but descending, your descending aorta turns into your femoral arteries. And he got hit like at that junction. And I don't know if quick clot would have saved his life,
Yeah.
but
No tourniquets. Interesting. So that all happens, and now you have Big Army. Did you call it medevac, casevac, or is it faster to drive guys, or how did that work?
The Big Army that was blocking the road saw my smoke. They're used to gunfire too. And somebody said they looked through binoculars. I actually got an email about 6 months ago from one of those guys.
Wow.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
you're
amazing.
the guy, like because we didn't swap
Right,
cards
right.
or anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, they saw us and they came down like, with what the fuck's going on down here? And then that's when they helped us medevac the guys out in
Okay.
they had a medical Humvee
Okay.
and took the guys, and we followed them out. Here's kind of the ironic thing: all three cars shot. The two soft skin cars were still mobile. The armored car got shot, but rounds skipped off the asphalt and punctured the gas tank and the transmission.
No kidding.
So the armored car
Down hard.
I just you kind of
Yeah.
get that weird shit that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we drove the soft cars full of blood.
Dang. Did you guys go to BIAP at that point
to buy up, and then after that, then we drove back.
in the same cars? Oh man.
So while everybody was in the hospital, I was trying to. I mean, I'm not trying to sound ghoulish or anything, but there was, puddles of femoral blood in the third car. So trying to get that, because guys don't want to come back from their friends being dead and and sit in their blood. So it's crazy.
Dang. So at this point, Jay didn't make it.
Yeah.
And the other two guys you knew also. they're
Well,
all at BIAP.
I knew on the scene that we call him Camel. He was an Australian guy. He was fucking good, dude. I mean, I didn't like all those Brits, but especially the English, but there's some Irish and Welsh guys I liked, and the Australians were solid.
Yeah.
We worked with a couple of Aussies. They were fucking solid. But we knew Camel was dead at the scene. We knew Jay was dead when he was doing the death snore and stuff. So I thought I'd seen that a bunch as a cop, so I kind of figured he was on his way out, right there at the scene. And then Steph was, again, he was shot in his leg. He could have been fixed with quick clot and a tourniquet. He could have been alive, but he bled out eventually.
Man, so those guys are now at BIAP. You drive both thin skins back to the green zone.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you get to the green zone?
Well, it's just like everybody, word's gotten back, and then we have a sister team. And so everybody's like, hey, are you guys okay? And I'm standing there, like you get it. You're like, it's all happened. And now I'm standing here and people are handing me a fucking Gatorade. And I'm like, just kind of going like, what? I won't use the word shock. I think that word gets thrown around too much, but I'm sitting there kind of in a daze.
Yeah.
And, my brother comes to me and says that to go look at Jay stuff. And then my brother says, hey man, you gotta go change your clothes. Come on. Cause I was covered in blood.
Yeah.
My brother was just like, hey, come on, let's go take this off.
Yeah. Dang. So you do that. And at what point do things start to kind of, I don't know. Did you stay there? How long did you have left in country at that point?
So I stayed to the end of the contract.
You stayed after that?
Yeah. Until June 15 or something.
Okay. So you have another month and a half to be there doing the same thing, running that same route, cheating the same vehicles.
Yeah.
Man, just fix them up if they had anything.
We had
with
other
those.
vehicles besides those three, but yeah.
Dang. Okay. So you did that. And at what point in there do you start to feel like that heat for or get blamed for things?
Within 24 hours.
Oh.
Yeah, I was the least senior person on the team, on that team. I had no rank or anything, and I was a replacement, a substitute, and somehow responsible for everything that happened.
Jeez.
Crazy.
But you finish out that, then you come back to the States. And
yep.
And before I ask more about that, I'll just say that, what I've always respected about you so much is that you have passed on these lessons. Like, you have never tried to shy away from anything. Like, right away when we first met, like, we talked about this, and I was like, dang, I had so much respect for you telling me this story, and then like trying to pass along those lessons, take responsibility, for whatever, but like pass those on to people. And that was always like, man, that, like, you always had so much respect for me for that.
I appreciate it. It again, that's one of those things where, it's when I talk about it, I want it to be out of reverence and respect. And I'm so far past trying to stick up for myself. It's not even funny. I just keep going back to the people that want to talk bad about me. I said, if you really knew the story, you'd know the names of the 3 guys that died.
Yeah. Got it. Man. So you get back, and are you planning on doing another contract, or are you kind of like, okay, I'm done with this?
No, did
your plans change?
No, that was the contract. That's all I had agreed to do. And as a matter of fact, after the thing, they were like, "Are you going to stay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm finish my contract." And I've done some other stuff in Central and South America. Nothing that exciting. It's never that exciting in Central or South America, Bogota and the places, but nothing like Iraq, nothing like that. And but the year I was gone, the business was still in motion. You had
some instructors working for you at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the year I was gone, it made more money than we had more students than the year before.
Nice.
And so I came back to a business that was making more money, and they were like, maybe you should stay gone because we made more money. So in 2005, a few weeks after I got back, we did our first high-risk civilian contractor class. And so one of my teammates from Iraq, Jay Gibson, a former SOTG Marine, which was a good guy to have around for a Marine. No, I'm just joking. I love that guy. But he and I built the high-risk civilian contractor class to train folks that were going over, because there was no mechanism for people to get training.
Yeah.
Like Blackwater had an academy, but it was more like a police academy, like, passing those score for DSS or whatever. And we taught the fighting part. And it's funny, we still do. It's still a very popular class, even though contracting is not very popular. People still see it and they go, that looks fun.
Yeah. And what lessons did you take back and incorporate into tactical response from your time downrange in Iraq?
On as far as like my staff, is everybody gets an equal seat at the table. I ultimately keep veto power. I'm the boss, but I try not to do it. One of my newest instructors is in here. And so if there's a curriculum change proposed, if it seems okay, I'll say, okay, let's beta test it for a while. And if it works out, then we change the formal curriculum. But the rule is, when you start teaching the class at 8 a.m., teach what's on the paper.
Got it.
Period.
Yeah.
And then when the class is over, it's in flux until the next time it's 8 a.m. and you got to teach a class. And so over the years, the guys that have been there have been allowed to make it better with their input. And so everybody owns it.
Okay.
They're not teaching my curriculum. They're teaching our curriculum.
They have ownership of it.
Right. So that's one of the things that like people use that word team a lot. Like it kind of throw that teamwork stuff out, but we really do have a team. We really do have a group of guys that care about each other. If one of us having a bad day, he doesn't even have to say anything. The other ones pick up the slack. You know, like we got a good group of guys.
Yeah, and that is a high risk contractor course. Is that your most popular or your most aspired to take type thing?
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, our most popular classes are fighting pistol and fighting rifle. I mean, like I could make more than a living for myself just teaching fighting pistol. But those are the classes where, you know, you've known training junkies in your life. They always look for that next thing. And so at our school, kind of like the top of the pyramid is the contractor classes. And we've had a bunch of, you know, guys come from different military sectors and stuff. And I'll tell you offline, but there was a guy there that said, I have everything in the military's disposal to train my guys. And he said, you guys are out here with some fucking fireworks doing a great job.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen video of that course. It looks amazing.
The videos are the stuff that's PG enough to put on.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I figured. And then you introduced me to Mark Graney, who writes in the same genre that I do. He has the Gray Man series. He's a fantastic guy.
Who took those classes?
Who's taken those classes. And you're in the front of, I think, all of his books. Like right away, it says like you're right there in the acknowledgments. He starts with the acknowledgments. I finish with them at the end, but he has them right in the front, and it has you right in there each and every time. James Yeager, Tactical Response.
What a nice guy. And I was actually very happy to connect you guys.
That's so cool.
Well, the thing is, you know, that in the tactical world, we can connect each other. Oh, I know the guy that, you know, this guy. But in the book world, I was like, man, I don't know too many authors.
Nice. He's been so fantastic to me, and he writes such a great series, and he's such a good dude. So thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah.
It's appreciated.
And he's a wonderful guy. Really nice guy.
Oh yeah. I think his stuff's coming to Netflix or something here fairly soon. So that's pretty cool. Finally, Gray Man coming to some sort of a series, which would be great. Or it's a movie. It's a movie for Netflix, I think. That's how it is. But so from then on, it's been full-time tactical response.
Yeah. I mean, more than full-time. You know, if you own your own business, you know, it's like...
Now I know. People think writing is just writing and that's it. And I thought so too. Until right before the first novel published. And I realized, hey, this is a business like any other. And you have to do all the same things you'd have to do for any business, and all that marketing and branding and co-branding and budgets and everything you have to do to support that product. So yeah, now I get it. But so you have a lot to do running it. But it's not just showing up at the range and you know, teaching people that class. Like there's a lot else that goes into this.
Well, I mean, just like today, before we even took off this morning, I'm making Instagram videos and all that stuff. It's got to be constant, you know.
Yeah. And you were kind of one of the first. You know, I wasn't really I wasn't at all into social media side of the house. You know, YouTube. I remember when someone first told me about YouTube, and I was like, what? But you were one of the first people to really capitalize or leverage or recognize the power of that for this industry.
Well, what's funny, I've always liked technology, but I got my start. And one of the things I did back in the day was I was a gun writer. I've written, you know, near 200 gun magazine articles. And so I saw this medium coming, no matter what, it's on the way. And I decided to embrace it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I started doing things, you know, on the net in 98. You know, luckily I was in Tennessee, and that's where Al Gore's from, and he invented the internet. So,
it helps.
So you're welcome. So we had early.
Yeah, you're early in.
But that's kind of, you know, I just saw it as this way for me to find more people I could connect with, and not just, you know, monetarily, but just politically or tactically or, you know, whatever. You know, there's just, you know,
you saw an opportunity there, it seems like. And from the outside, you know, looking in, it looked like you were one of the first to really recognize its power.
Right.
And when you told me and gave me a little education in that, you know, good reviews, bad reviews, that engagement piece and that talk, and that is really what you're after and what you want. You know, that was all new to me, but you recognize that. So when you say you built your business on, how did you put it?
Hate.
Hate and discontent. Did you recognize that part right away?
Yeah. I bought a motorcycle. I call it the hater cycle. I go, and like, I'll get a whiteboard out and I'll go, like, I've done informal surveys, and like 50% of the people that come train with me, I say, I ask everybody, how'd you hear about me? Oh, YouTube videos. Okay. How'd you hear about the YouTube video? And well, there's a guy that posted a thing, said you were a butthole.
And that's how.
And I went and watched the video, and I was like, well, that wasn't so bad. And then I watched another one. I watched another one. And here I am. So about 50% of my business, I mean, literally down the middle, about 50% comes from haters. And so I've got 4 full-time instructors. So that means 2 of them are employed. I've got 2 full-time admins. So that means one of them is employed. And I got a mediocre media guy. And so we'll just leave him out of the equation. But
is he in this room?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, like, it employs people. Like, I can point directly to the impact that those people, haters, they work harder than any employee I have, and they don't want a penny for it.
Interesting. Have you done things intentionally?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yes.
So to like stir the pot.
Oh, yeah.
Type stuff.
Oh, yeah. I do videos like 1911 suck and 40 caliber sucks. And
I remember the 1911s. That one was pretty popular.
All that stuff. All of it. Just like.
Interesting. Do you still have people drop their expensive pistols on the ground? Nice. And then those just come to you, or do you have a plan? Like, or do you just take advantage of emerging opportunities?
Yeah, I don't get a lot of my philosophy off bumper stickers, but I saw a bumper sticker for a martial arts studio that said, "The more I train, the luckier I am." And so I consider every day online is training. And the more I'm online and the more I understand how it works, the more I can see opportunity in a situation. Whereas somebody that wasn't online much would not see that same opportunity.
Right. Oh man, that part is fascinating to me because it's
it shouldn't be, because you do everything you can to exploit the battlefield.
Yeah,
I do that. It's just a different
deal. Yeah. No, exactly. Looking for emerging opportunities, capitalizing on momentum, looking for gaps and how to exploit those gaps. Like, same thing. I do it on the written page now, but I'm solving those problems. It's not, if I screw something up on the written page, it's not as dire as screwing it up out there on the battlefield, but it's the same type of thing. I'm just doing it here in a fictional sense in the narrative. But, also when I started down this path, you recommended that book to me, The Subtle Art of Not Giving It Out. Yeah. So I haven't read it, but I think every time I see it, because it's in all the airports as you're walking through every Hudson News.
The reason is, and like, there's, it's 4 big personality types, this Myers-Briggs thing, but you are very compassionate, and people that are very compassionate don't like to get their feelings hurt. Like, nobody really likes to, but people that are compassionate really don't. And so I want to make sure people understand there's nothing unmanly or, about that. It just means you care what people think. And I told him earlier, because you were like, I just don't want to make anybody mad. And so I worry about those people. And so to those people, the blues, I always recommend that book. You saw me heading down this path, and anybody that's now puts themselves out there in any sort of public way, you're just a target for everybody that's sitting down here or up there. And the more you try to make people happy, the more they hate you for it.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna be me.
Yep.
Which might also make it hurt worse when someone, because you're not trying to be something else. Right. You're actually yourself.
Every once in a while they say something and go, oh, that one kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And people always think like SEALs, they think of like, you're so thick skinned and tough and everything, but you read a bad review or somebody says something nasty and it's kind of like, oh, that hurt. That was unnecessary.
Yeah. He really does like honey in his coffee.
I do have honey and cream every morning. I like a little sweet. I was trying to humanize my character by bringing that to the novels as well.
You had told me that before. I think I found that out at Billy's wedding, but somehow I knew that. So when it came out in the book, I was like,
Yeah, that's the other part of it. Like, there's so much of me in these novels that when someone, criticizes them or something like that, it's like, yeah, I made it up. It's fictional, but the emotions and the feelings that the protagonist experiences come from real stuff.
I've told everybody you base it on me. So.
That's it. Just the skills, just the martial skills of the protagonist, of course. But no, all that stuff that you've done for me and my family over the years. I mean, I can never thank you enough for that. And trying to inoculate me a little bit before I stepped into this space, being out there on these social platforms and everything else. And it's all sincerely appreciated.
Well, the thing is we should help people. And I do believe in, karma, whatever you want to call it, whatever people believe. But I think there's something for doing good deeds. And I feel the best when somebody comes up to me and goes, "Hey, James, I just want to tell you thanks. You did that thing for me." And I go, "What thing?" And I don't remember it.
That's awesome.
That's the kind of the zen I'm looking for, is to do something and like literally forget I did it for somebody.
So cool.
So whenever I can pull that off, I go, okay, I'm starting to get this right.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, that's similar to how the Chris Pratt Amazon series came about. And that's actually I was at Thunder Ranch. And it was October, November timeframe of 2017. So no books are out yet. I have no social media. I have nothing. And I got a call from a buddy I hadn't heard from in years. And first he says, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Jared, how's it going, buddy?" And he's like, "Hey, I always wanted to call you and thank you for what you did for me in the SEAL teams." And like you, I was like, "What did I do for him? Did I bail him out of jail? What did I do? I don't know." And he's like, "Hey, man, you were the only person that sat me down in your office as I was getting out, talked to me about transition. You introduced me to people in the private sector. And I never forgot that. And I always wanted to thank you." And I was like, "No problem. Absolutely." But in my head, I didn't even remember doing it. And he says, "Hey, I heard you have a book coming out." And I said, "Yeah, it's coming out in a few months. I have these galley copies, which are early copies. I can send you one." And he said, "Yeah, I'd like that, but I'd like to give one to a friend of mine." And I said, "Yeah, no problem. Who's that?" And he said, "Chris Pratt."
And you said, "Who's like, Chris Pratt?"
Yeah. Oh, I knew who Chris Pratt was because I'd pictured him playing in the role as I was writing. And so that's how that crazy thing came about. And sure enough, he gives it to Chris. Chris reads it. Next thing you know, they option it for a film or a series, which is crazy. But that's a similar thing. That's how it all came about. So yeah, I try to do the same thing for friends that are getting out, transitioning, good people, doing good things, and I try to do what I can for them and their business and their families, and just like you do. So I sincerely appreciate all that, man.
That's good. If more people would live their life like that, wouldn't it be such a nicer world?
I think so. And I do. I try not to spend too much time thinking or trying to diagnose why people on social media, one, either act so tough and are so mean from behind their keyboards. I try not to spend too much time thinking about it, but if you're involved in that world and you're posting things and you're responding to people and you're engaging, and for me, I like to thank everybody because I wouldn't be able to do what I love doing, which is writing, without people buying the novel. So I try to get back to everybody that sends an email, that responds to my newsletter, everybody that reaches out on social media. I try to get back to everybody because I sincerely appreciate them allowing me to do what I love. But man, some people are just really mean.
Dude,
it's crazy.
The author of Conan, but he's got one of the quotes from a Conan book is, "Gentlemen are far more discourteous than savages because a savage knows he can get his skull split."
Oh yes, it's right here. Actually, I put it in. I put it in the novel. So I put it in before the third part. I think it's in here. So I used that quote, and I absolutely love it. I think actually I saw you post it or say it once, and I texted you and or emailed you, and I was like, "Hey, I just put that in the book the other day." But it's it's right. It's in here somewhere.
That kind of sums up how I feel. Is that these people think that somebody's not going to knock on their door and punch them in their nose.
I know.
You got to be careful who you're talking to.
Yeah. Someone someday is not going to take it. But yeah, I try to treat people. Yeah, here it is, right here, right before part 2, the stock. Civilized men are more discourteous than savages because they know they can be impolite without having their skull split, as a general thing. Robert E. Howard.
Robert Howard. Yeah,
that's where it came from. But that resonated with me. Mm-hmm. Because
apparently several of us.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think the books resonate with people, because with that theme of revenge, like you can't go out and just whack somebody because they're discourteous, even if they need it. Mm-hmm. because you'll go to jail and you might get the death penalty or whatever. But in a movie or in a book, someone can get away with it and it makes you feel better inside. So I think there's something there that resonates, and which is why I use that as the theme for all the books, but really for that first one in particular.
Well, I have a hardback book. I think I've sent you a picture of it before, but I've got a hardback journal. It says "People to Kill."
Oh yeah, I love that. And so great.
Well, it's funny because I was like, he stole my idea. No, I'm just kidding. but I have a list of people I'm going to kill should I contract a terminal illness, and it's in order of importance. However, if there's a target of opportunity geographically on the way,
understand. Oh yeah, exactly. That's how I had to write. That's how I did the book. You might be 15 on the list, but if I'm passing through Denver, you might move up a couple positions. I totally understand. Oh man. And so, what future wise, what do you have on the books going forward?
Well, as we film this today, I turned 50.
Oh, happy birthday! Today you turned 50.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
Yeah, today.
Well, we have steaks out there, and so we're gonna grill these up in a little bit.
Perfect birthday party.
Awesome.
But so I just hit a goal I've had for last 3 years of squats, 325 pounds, 3 sets of 5. Oh. And so I feel good being 50 and strong, and I'm fatter than I want to be, but I had to be fat to get strong. So it's one of those things. But I want to do a 405 squat for my 50th birthday. That's what I'm going to give myself, 1 rep. And I was going to try to do it today, but I've been on the road for a few weeks and I couldn't work up to it. But that's what I'm going to do for my 50th birthday, to celebrate my 50th birthday. But in future in general, I've got so many grandkids now. I just call them by number. And so 6 was just born.
Oh, wow.
And we've got the 2 adopted ones. And that should be its own YouTube channel, me taking because they're black, and me taking the boy to the black barber shop stuff. Because the first time I took him there, they the music stopped. They're like, they look at him like, "You all right, little man?"
It sounds like it should be a reality show.
But anyway, so the future is keep teaching so I can keep supporting my family and spend time with my grandkids, and I'm healthy. I just had a full top to bottom checkup because you're 50. They check everything.
Yeah, not far behind you.
And so I'm good. Everything's good.
Awesome.
I've never have been, but I'm not on any kind of meds or anything. So I feel good going into my 50s, and I just plan on trying to keep up with Clint Smith.
There you go. He's tough, man. He's out there getting after it every single day. All these different screws holding him together. Man, you can't hold that guy back.
Dude. Yeah.
Amazing. And then before we go out there and start grilling steaks, what, so people know, where can they find you?
Well, here's the thing. Whenever I do these, it always gets to a point where somebody asks that question, and this is my standard answer. If they are too stupid to find me, I don't want their money.
I get it. Believe me. I have so many examples, but I don't want to be mean to anyone by saying them.
So I never give that out. If they're motivated enough
they can use the Google and put in James Yeager, tactical response, and find you on all these platforms. And then it's fighting pistol, fighting rifle. Is there a shotgun?
We got all that stuff.
Nice.
Force on force and medical classes and bolt rifle classes and all that stuff.
You got it all. That's awesome. How many fighting pistols are there now? Is there
there's a 2-day fighting pistol, a 2-day advanced fighting pistol, and then you can take them consecutively and in a 5-day version of it called Way of the Pistol.
Nice. That's the one I was going to ask you about. I always love that name. That was a good one. You had it before, I think.
Before it got cool.
Yeah. You had that early. I remember. I was like, man, that's awesome. It's a great title of a book.
Yeah, I think so.
What have you thought about doing that?
I'm 75,000 words into a martial book, not a fiction, just about training and shooting and stuff.
Oh, awesome.
I got 5 chapters: mindset, tactics, skill, gear, training.
Nice. Awesome. Is there an end date goal type thing for that, or is that just a project?
Yeah, 2017. I want to be finished with that.
How's that coming?
Not there yet.
Oh man. So
how many words does a book have?
It's about 100,000 for a book like this. This one is 114. This one was about 100 and
112.
Yep. And then that one's always 120.
Okay. So I have a real book in the works then.
Yep. You're on your way. Yeah. So between like 100 and 120 is what that is. And there's some other ones like those, like mysteries are typically about 80. And then those romance ones are about 60. And then there's techno thrillers, which are up there, can be about 200. So those ones are the real thick ones like the Tom Clancy's back in the day.
So I actually have a book on Amazon about contracting, because when I came back, I was like, man, there's so much crap that people need to know they don't know. I thought I'll write something just to kind of more of a thick pamphlet than anything.
Yeah.
Somebody else will write something, like comprehensive. Nobody ever has. There's really literally only on one book on contracting on Amazon, and it's mine.
No kidding. Awesome. I didn't even know that.
It's not even about like the cool part. It's about what to do to get ready to go, what kind of gear you need to take, what you're going to use in the Middle East, how to keep your money, accountants and taxes. And it's nothing about the cool part of the job.
Got it.
It's all the stuff that keeps you, getting your immunizations and
the stuff people are going to screw up and not do because they've got this part down, but now they need to figure out, do I need an LLC or an S corp?
Well, the last thing I'll say about it is people are always getting, fired off contracts or contracts ending. So around the green zone, there's always some dude walking up like, "Hey, you guys looking for anybody?" A lot of times people are, and they'd always say the same thing. Man, I can shoot, and I'd be like, "Bro, everybody can shoot. Can you make the internet work? Can you cook? Do you know how to change a tire? Like, what is your secondary skill that makes you valuable?
Life skills.
Yeah.
Interesting. Awesome.
Fucking Marines don't have any life skills. they know how to shoot and open MREs.
There you go. Hey, some situations, that's what counts. But, oh man, well, I'm so glad we got to do this. Yeah. And I sincerely appreciate you coming on and coming to the house. And
that's great.
It's amazing. It's great. I've always wanted to meet my family. So,
I don't know why you live in the middle of a desert, but that's cool, whatever.
I know it's everywhere else around here is desert. Like here is kind of still high desert, but we got a little green. But man, with everybody leaving, because they were doing this is mid-August-ish. And man, people are leaving New York, LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, like Seattle, Portland, Dallas. They're coming here.
Listen, we've been driving through the Dakotas and everywhere. You can ask him. Houses being built everywhere. We were in Deadwood, South Dakota. There's not a house you can buy.
Wow.
In and around Sturgis, Rapid City, like, all the prices are going through the roof. Everybody is mass migration away from large cities.
It's crazy. I dropped one of the kids off today at the, it's called anyway, it's a tennis thing down here. So we drove through the parking lot and I'm looking, I'm like, New York, North Carolina. I saw Tennessee in there. So many different, Florida, Oregon, like all these different, half the parking lot at least were out-of-state plates.
Yep.
Which is unusual.
Bringing their COVID in with them.
They want to get their kids into schools. Because I think all the parents are like, wait a sec, we're not opening up schools in California. Oh, well, guess where we're going? We're moving. If we were on the fence before or thinking about that vacation home, guess what? We're getting these kids into school and we're coming to Utah. So that's a little bit crazy.
I'd hate to be trying to sell a house in New York or California right now.
Yeah. Here's a good place to be selling one right now. Things are just flying off the market. Yep. It's crazy, but people are realizing that they need to get out of those cities, and it's just insane right now. So if everybody comes here, we're gonna have to start moving north, I think.
Well, hold on a second. They're going to leave after one winter.
That's what everyone says. So we'll see.
Maybe not the New Yorkers. They might be robust about the winter, but the Tennessee, Florida, California,
Georgia, people, Okay. All right, we'll have them just for a little bit then. Oh, jeez, crazy.
First time there's 3 feet of snow, they'll be like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, that'll be good. It's getting a little packed here, but awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for doing this, and we're gonna do a live thing on the
YouTubes.
The YouTubes. So we're gonna do that and cook some steaks and. Happy birthday, man.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
A special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Navy Federal Credit Union. I've been a member since 1996. That is my first year in the military. And right now, when you become a member of Navy Federal Credit Union, life gets better. That's why they created a fully loaded car buying experience. I've bought cars and motorcycles using it in the past. You can finance, buy, protect, and enjoy your auto purchase all from one convenient place. They have pre-approval that's good for 90 days, so you know what you can afford while you shop. They also offer great auto loan rates. You can shop for new and used cars with Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar. You can also get exclusive member savings with Carfax, SiriusXM, and more. They're always available with 24/7 member service representatives to answer any questions. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/car buying. Credit and collateral subject to approval. Navy Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Check them out, NavyFederal.org. I want to thank my friends at Black Rifle Coffee for sponsoring the Danger Close podcast. I've been a huge fan for the longest time. Drink Black Rifle Coffee every day. And if you keep your eyes peeled, you will notice that perhaps Chris Pratt is wearing a Black Rifle Coffee t-shirt, not unsimilar to this one, in the Amazon series adaptation of The Terminal List. Now you can go to blackriflecoffee.com/dangerclose and use code DangerClose20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase and your first coffee club order. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. Keep crushing. Thank you so much to Sig Sauer for jumping right on board out of the gate to make this podcast possible. Obviously, I am a huge Sig fan, having carried the P226 on every deployment downrange in the SEAL teams. But Sig was a supporter. They were friends well before I was a New York Times bestselling author, well before I even had an Instagram account or any social media presence whatsoever. So thank you guys all so much. Ron, Tom, Jason, everybody at SIG who gets up every day and continues to crush it and lead the way. SIG is always adapting. They're always at the forefront, whether it is firearms for citizens, whether it's firearms for our military, ammo, suppressors, optics, training, fire control units. They are doing it all, and they are always pushing that envelope and trying to do it better each and every day through innovation and adaptation. They crush. So thank you so much for that friendship and support. It will never be forgotten. Thank you for tuning in to this tribute episode of the Danger Close podcast. Although James Yeager is gone, Tactical Response lives on. Go to tacticalresponse.com, check out their courses, tell somebody about it, get out there and train, bring somebody out there with you to train, follow them on the social channels. But it was James's wish that Tactical Response would live on, and it is. Once again, go to tacticalresponse.com. And as James would always say, this is James Yeager for Tactical Response, reminding you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.